Hey guys, Muncheez here, and welcome to another Lost Ark video. And in this video, I'm going to be going over tripods. So one of the huge disservices, in my opinion, that Ignite servers do for new players and maybe some returning players is the tripod system. So they give you something so veteran players understand the value of these items, which are these wishful amulets. And what this does is it levels up a tripod to a max level. So basically, they don't really give you a way to understand what tripods are and which ones you pick and so on and so forth. So they kind of set you up for failure, giving you this pretty great reward for a system that isn't really elaborated on or kind of explained to people in general, even if you do the quest, because most people just shift G through the amulet transfer quest for tripods. Now, when you use them, it'll open up a menu that is kind of similar to your skill tab, but it's completely separate. So make sure when you do this, in my opinion, this is just a tip that I have, make sure you have both of your tabs open for your personal combat skills that you have equipped and the menu that opens up when you click the wishful amulet. So when you click the wishful amulet, another little menu pops up. You can sort by your equipped skills as a priority, and you can kind of go through them and see which tripods you can level. If it's grayed out, it means it's maxed out or you cannot level it. So for example, I have a tripod here that's level 4, and if I were to use the wishful amulet, it would bring this to level 5. So that is the basic function of the wishful amulet. Now, obviously, the natural question that comes up straight away is, well, which ones do I pick for my class? Well, that is something that you have to find out on your own, unfortunately. And there are some resources out there that are pretty good for a general guideline as to which ones to pick for the class and engraving that you are playing. And one of the resources is Lost Ark Nexus. So most of these sites that give tips on how to build your character and whatnot, they're usually community ran sites, so they do need to get updated from time to time. So sometimes the data isn't always accurate, but you will get a decent baseline as of what your character should look like. I'll leave this in a link in the description box below just so you guys can have an easier way of getting to it. But basically, you can go, when you go to the site at first, it'll have like all the list of classes and stuff like that and specs that you can play for your engravings. And if you go to the skills section of the website, it'll bring you straight to your skills. And where it says core skills, these are going to be your general main 8 DPS skills for your character. And as you can see, you'll have a skill, and then you'll have these 3 icons that you can basically see these same icons in the game under the skill tab when you're looking at them, and you see these little numbers that show up. It says 131. That is in relation to the tripods that are in the game. So for example, if you have something like Doomsday, so we're going to look at Doomsday here. As you can see, my skill tree, it is 1, 2, and 1. So it is in relation to these the number of which they appear in their row. So now that you've understand that, now you have to learn which priority to do. So for example, like which tripod should I level first? So if you have a limited number of tripods, or if you're doing it via the RNG, the natural RNG system that they have, getting them through chaos dungeons and whatnot, it pretty much shows you which ones you should prioritize. So for a Sork, for example, you want Frost Call, Enlightenment at 5, and then you want Magic Amplification on the 3 big spells for them. Now this obviously, it's different for every class, but every class will have their own respective page and a general guideline to how to build the class and engraving that you want to play. So for example, if I wanted to make a Pistolier Deadeye, I would go to the Pistolier section of the Deadeye section, and you would see the tripod priorities for a Pistolier tripod. So these 6 right here would be the ones that you prioritize to get to level 5 first. Ultimately, you want to level all the tripods that you are using in your core skill set to level 5, but usually that takes a process that takes a little bit of time if you don't have any special rewards like that we received on the Ignite servers, or when we get like express passes and things of that sort, they give you a bunch of wishful amulets. These are the things that you kind of want to prioritize as you are making your character with the wishful amulets. So until they choose to change this system again or remove it entirely, as most people want it to be, we're stuck with the default system. And the way the default system works is you farm your chaos dungeons, so you have a chance to get these amulets that have skill tripods on them, and then you will head over to the transfer skill tree vendor. But before we do that, we want to set up a filter to show basically the ones with this little icon on it. I know it's really small to see, but it'll have like this little tripod icon. This indicates that the tripod has something that you have favorited in your menus for your skills. And to get here, basically you hit this settings button. So when you open your skill tree with K and then you go to the settings button, this menu will open. And in order to strictly filter it, you can favorite, up to 48 tripods. And you can filter it further, but I don't know why they did this. You have to hit the settings button again, and basically this little menu will pop up. I always just leave the last box checked, and the first drop down arrow, I leave it defaulted. And then basically I just change what level tripods I want to see show up in my inventory. So this allows me to sell tripods if I already have it learned and just get like a little bit of gold from it if it does sell for anything. But for the most part, you can use this menu to filter pretty much. You only want to see level 5 tripods or level 4 tripods and up. The icon will only show on them. Now, the transferring process. As you can see, it says 10%. Lower level tripods have higher percentages, but your goal ultimately in the end is always to get level 5 tripods. Now, to increase this chance, there are these things called sage powders. These sage powders you can buy from the auction house, craft in your stronghold, complete some of the weekly content. I can't remember if it's the Abyssal Dungeon or the Guardian challenge for the week, but you can get those from weekly content as well. The guild shop sells them, but they do cost a lot of bloodstone crystals, so be a little bit careful when you're splurging on them. But when you're transferring your level 5 tripods that you need for your core 8, I highly recommend using the sage powder there just to maximize your chances in getting that tripod transferred over so you can have it done and not think about it ever again. This is also not a roster system. This is a per character system. So if you have, like, for example, if you had 2 paladins or whatever, you had 1 paladin with full tripods, if you made a new paladin, all his tripods are level 1 again, unless you are doing something like an Ignite server or an Express Pass where they award a bunch of amulets. So in short, go to Chaos Dungeon, see if it drops. If it drops, you can come to the vendor, try your chances at transferring. I got unlucky with 1, and then just to show as an example, it does hit, it is possible, but it is an RNG system, so this is the value of those instant level 5 wishful amulets. There are some that you can buy from the game's base like reward system, like the Legion Raid Exchange, the Solo Raid Exchange, as well as the Lights Trial Exchange, which is the Kyan currency exchange. And you can find these vendors in all of the major cities, so it'll usually be there. And you can buy some of these, but you can only get about like 4 or 5 of them. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about tripods, anything of that sort, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and sub on the way out, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.